Welcome to part 2 of this Pandas lecture series. In this lesson, we're going to learn how to handle a Pandas data frame. This includes selecting, adding, and deleting columns, indexes, and rows. The data frame we'll use to learn these skills will be the same one we used in the previous tutorial. If you don't have the sample data spreadsheet downloaded yet, go to the previous video in this series and follow the download instructions. Now that we all have the same spreadsheet, we'll quickly go through the steps of creating a Pandas data frame from it. First, we say import pandas as PD. Now we create our data frame df and use the pd.readExcel function. We'll pass in the Excel file sampledata.xlsx and the sheet name sales orders. Let's see what the head looks like. As we can see, this data frame is a register of items that a company sold. It documents the date, region, representative, item, amount of units, unit cost, and total cost of each transaction. The first data frame tool we're going to learn is how to change the index. At the moment, the index is simply the default range of numbers. In this example, it might make sense to have the order date column as the index. We can change the index of the data frame by calling our data frame .setIndex. Inside the brackets, we choose the column that we want to set as the new index, order date. If we run this line, it will return our data frame with a changed index. But if we check our data frame's head, we see that nothing has changed. This is because the setIndex function just returned an instance of the changed data frame. The data frame was in fact not changed. If we want the change to be made to the data frame, we have to add the in-place argument and specify it to be true. We can see that the date of a transaction is now the index. Now let's move on to selecting different parts of our data frame. To select a column, we call our data frame and use square brackets to choose the column. Let's select the region column. What we have here is a series object, the region column along with a corresponding date index. We can select an individual entry by adding its date or number index. Let's grab the top entry by selecting its date, 2019-10-6. We can also grab it by selecting index 0. To select a row, we use the alloc function. Let's select the top entry by saying df.alloc and passing in 2019-01-06. This gives us the top row as a series object, with each entry and its corresponding column. Rows can also be selected based on their index number. We could thus select the top row by its index 0. To do this, we use the ialloc function. We'll say df.ialloc and select index position 0. As we can see, this is the same transaction row that we got previously. Similarly to columns, we can select specific entries of a row by adding another set of square brackets and selecting its index. Let's grab just the item of this top row by choosing the item column. We can also use the number index 2 to select this specific entry. Let's take a look at how a new column can be created. First, let's create a series by copying the item column. We'll set new equal to this column. Now, to create a new column in a data frame, you simply call it as if it already exists. We'll call ours new column and set it equal to our new series. We can now see that our data frame has a new column called new column, which is identical to the item column. In future lessons, I will teach you how to do more complex calculations with columns to create new ones. Now let's see how we can remove a row from a data frame. For this, we'll say df.drop and then pass in df.index and the index we want to remove. Let's remove the first entry, which is at index 0. As you might have noticed, this has also only returned an instance of the changed data frame, and no real change has been made. Once again, we'll have to specify the in-place argument as true to have the change made permanent to the data frame. Now we can see that the top entry of the data frame is gone. To remove a whole column, we'll also use the drop function. Let's remove the region column. We'll say df.drop and then choose the region column. Because we now want to remove a column and not a row, we have to say axis equals 1. We'll also have to say inPlace equals true. Now we can see that the data frame no longer has the region column. This is the end of part 2 of this lecture series. We learned how to select, add, and remove different parts of a data frame. In the next video, we'll delve a little bit deeper into handling data frames and handle topics like conditional selection, lambda expressions, and calculations with columns. Make sure you're subscribed to see when new lessons are available. I will see you in the next one.